What's going on? What's new? What is up, Mount Pleasant? My goodness, it feels great to be back in the studio right now. Hey, if you're not familiar with me, my name is Brandt Beach. I'm the sports host here at WHMW 101.1 The Beat, and I'm with Chance Hamilton. I'm with Trevor Sparks, and we can finally say in the new semester, we are just talking ball. That is correct. If you haven't known, we are the sports talk show here on the student-led radio station. If you want to follow us on social media, look us up on just_talkin without the G_ball. We got a lot to discuss right now. There's been a lot going on. We could cover everything that happened in the break while we were gone, but we just got to keep it a little airtight with the times. It took us a while to get back in the studio right now. I mean, because between my work schedule, because I'm like the only one that knows how to run the board. You guys just kind of show up and talk to me. Between my schedule, between all of our schedules, between trying to work with the other DJs and producers here on WMHW, finally we're glad to be back here. And there's a lot going on because 2 days from now is the big game, the sports ball game, the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Tickets as low as $3,000.
That's a steal.
$4,000.
That's an absolute steal. You know, that's only like a third of our tuition. That's crazy.
That's how much
not
I'm
even.
CMU this semester, dude.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the Super Bowl is one to look forward to. But before we get there was the NFL awards last night. And let me tell you, there's a lot of thoughts, feelings, and emotions on that one. First one, big one for me. Matthew Stafford, AP Most Valuable Player presented by Invisalign. That's not a sponsorship on us. That's just a part of it, which sponsoring each individual pick I think is goofy, but we can get back on that later. But big thing for me, Stafford getting his MVP as the quarterback for the Rams. I think that officially cements him to be remembered as a Ram more than he is a Lion.
I would definitely have to agree with that. I know the trade's only 5-6 years old now, but I mean, you look at his stats. You look how he's like. I mean, he's 37 years old and he's still lighting up defenses. You know, I mean, I know Brady was doing that when he was like 42, but the point being is he's an elite quarterback. He's definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. Super Bowl ring, got very close again this year, and I think he's going to be remembered as being the quarterback for a dumpster fire organization for X amount of years, then going over to the Rams, and then having extreme success, making the playoffs, and basically every year.
Exactly. No, the whole kind of argument between, because obviously it was between Matthew Stafford and Drake May in the end. There were votes for Josh Allen and even Justin Herbert last night, but ultimately I completely agree with the decision to make Matthew Stafford the MVP. He had almost 5,000 passing yards, something you don't really see as frequently in this modern NFL. He's got so many, he had, I think, 15 more touchdowns than May on the season. You could argue, yes, he had Puka Nacua, yes, he had Devontae Adams, but I also don't want to say that Kayshon Boutte, Stephon Diggs, that they weren't necessarily good receivers. I think that people sleep on them a little bit in terms of talent and ability, and so that's an argument that we can put to bed. Ultimately, Stafford, against really stiff competition all year long, has been performing at such a high level. He didn't make the Super Bowl necessarily, but this is a regular season award. We are paying attention to how he performed in the regular season, and ultimately he just, at 37, like you're saying, just lights up the league and completely deserved it this year.
Yeah. Well, I think the MVP, obviously, we know is like a quarterback thing, right? Yeah. But to also get to consider, like, MVP is how crucial that player is. So I can't remember where I saw it, but somebody explained why. I think they claimed that they were the sole voter for Justin Herbert, and they explained, like, how he got such a relatively banged up and, like, terrible supporting cast to the playoffs. Now, granted, they fell apart, I believe, to the Texans, was it? Yeah, the Texans. Like, so they fell apart at the end there, whatever, but, like, the way that he played there, that warranted the MVP vote for them is what they were saying. But for your point for, like, Diggs and Boutte, I think if I have to compare, would I rather have Diggs and Boutte or Adams and Nacua? And I think I'd rather have Adams and Nacua. So Absolutely. Maybe that plays towards Matt Stafford's thing. I don't know. But one thing in particular that kind of caught my attention is that a buddy of mine texted me that, like, after his acceptance speech, he's like, oh, why didn't he mention Detroit at all? I'm like, what did Detroit do for Stafford for him to get that award? That's the thing.
Nothing.
That's the thing. And if you want to look back on the tape from our previous show before break, when the Rams were playing the Lions at the time, and we mentioned the Goff and Stafford trade, like Stafford wins the Super Bowl immediately afterwards. Rams fall back maybe a couple more years, and then they're Super Bowl contenders again this year. Like, it goes without saying, Rams won that trade. I will die on that hill. Rams won the trade through in and through out. It does not matter. And Stafford won that MVP through what he did with the Rams. Doesn't have a single. If he started his career at the Rams and played the way that he did, that's all that matters. That's all. It doesn't matter that he lived in limbo in Detroit for the longest time. He has nobody to thank there. And the coach that's here at the Lions was the one that dealt him there. So why would he have anything to say to him? And that's what makes sense to me. I'm like, there's obviously no reason why he would say, "Oh, I want to thank Detroit for this. I want to thank Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, who I never knew." You know what I mean? It's or any coach that he played for under there, because they didn't help him for anything. You know, I don't know. That was ridiculous to me for somebody to suggest that.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And we'll get on to the whole Matthew Stafford versus Drake May debate here later. Obviously, Patriots in the Super Bowl, we're going to touch up on that. But, I mean, there is an argument about Matthew Stafford being a slant touchdown merchant. He has 46 touchdowns to 8 interceptions on the regular season. What do you guys think about that argument? Do you think that's like a valid argument? I know they have that play they run at the 1 yard line.
I've seen that before, where it's like a fade in the corner of the end zone to Adams or something like that, and it works every time. It's just putting the ball in the right place consistently. That's the way I see it. You're running a play that works, and the defense just has to learn how to cover it. It's the same argument I had for the tush push coming into the year, where it's just a play. It's a football play that you are consistently running and consistently succeeding with. The other team just can't stop it. And if that is the tush push for the Rams, that like corner fade to Adams or whoever it might be, defense just has to learn how to cover it. And so I don't think it's a really legitimate argument. Sure, it's an effective play that gets you a lot of touchdowns, but no, it's just honestly not a solid argument, I would say. To that point, we do see that in comparison to, say, Drake May, who his deep ball is incredible. He's been slinging it all year long. So, I
mean, yeah, he has been slinging it, but again, with the arguments going on about the Mickey Mouse schedule for the Patriots, which, I mean, again, I don't really want to get into that just now, because, you know, we got the Super Bowl discussion coming up in a little bit. But my point to that is, I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now, and I mean, who have they beat that made the playoffs? And I'm looking, and I see Buffalo. They beat Buffalo 23-20, lost to them 35-31, so they split that. And then I'm looking through, and unless I'm blind, Pittsburgh too. So they beat Pittsburgh and Buffalo, and
no, they lost to Pittsburgh.
They lost to Pittsburgh.
To Pittsburgh.
Sorry, they lost to Pittsburgh, and they split with Buffalo. So the playoff teams they have played, you know, it brings up that question about the Mickey Mouse. And ultimately, I think making Matthew Stafford the MVP is the right decision. Despite the slant merchant discussion, I think Matthew Stafford is overall better quarterback at age 37 than Drake May is in his second year. And I don't really think there should be much more discussion about it. Sure, Drake May has a higher quarterback rating, you know, but Drake May has played easier teams. There's been struggles against even the harder teams. You know, going into the playoffs, we'll discuss playoffs and everything. He performed well, but I think Matthew Stafford just has the edge overall in the MVP conversation, and I thought that going into this, and I still think that going out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, whole 100% agree with you. I mean, the Mickey Mouse schedule, sure, Drake is going to be a great player. I think he is the number one reason why the Patriots are in the Super Bowl. But for Stafford to still be playing that the way he was, like it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. Another no-brainer, Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
Hands down deserved it. Hands down deserved it. First year head coach, getting all the way to the Super Bowl. You have a second year quarterback. You have an okay supports. I mean, I shouldn't say okay. It's a good receiving room. Don't get me wrong. Travion Henderson ended up being a great running back alongside Ramondre Stevenson. To get that whole team together first year into the bowl, no-brainer, wins it. Shanahan getting number 2, I can also understand that with how banged up the Niners were and how far they got. Conspiracy theories aside, again, he always seems to be like a perennial candidate for MVP, it feels like.
Yeah, and moving off of Coach of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, JSN. That one was a close one. I really thought it was going to be it was between Nakua and JSN. McCaffrey ended up being second in that voting.
Because what was it? It was JSN had the most receiving yards, and Nakua had the most receiving touchdowns.
I think so. Something like that.
McCaffrey had the most rushing yards. Robinson had the most scrimmage yards. Mm-hmm. And May was the most productive quarterback. Is that correct?
Something like
that.
Yeah.
I honestly was half watching the awards. I would always look over just to see who would win.
Yeah.
But that was the one where I actually saw the stats to compare. Like, okay, who wins this one?
Mm-hmm. Here's my thing. Nakua had more yards per game, but had 10 more receptions total in the regular season than JSN, and JSN finished with 80 more yards, averaging 15 yards per touch, while Puka was averaging 13. They both had 10 receiving touchdowns in the regular season, and the long for JSN was 63 yards this year, while Puka Nakua was 58. So I think JSN just edged out Puka on every single stat out there for receivers, for offensive player of the year, and I just think between the two, came down to two of them, JSN just deserves it more.
It's that explosive factor that he has.
Yeah, explosive factor. I mean, and Sam Darnold has been playing pretty much lights out this year. I know he's had turnover problems, but he slings the rock, and when he slings the rock, he goes to his boy JSN, and JSN can make moves. He can make moves upfield. He can make defenders miss, and I'm not saying Puka Nakua can't. I'm saying Matthew Stafford has very good receivers in his pass, because Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback. This isn't me hating on either of these players. Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback. I really like Puka Nakua, but Matthew Stafford has a favorite receiver usually, and that's Puka Nakua. Now, that's not stat padding, but all I'm saying is look at Calvin Johnson's 1,900-yard season, and who's the quarterback for that? Who's the quarterback for Puka Nakua's season? So
Matthew Stafford. Stafford.
But all that being said, I think JSN is pretty deserving of Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, no, I gotta agree on that one too. I think it's production wise. Sure, you could say it's like, oh, he has a favorite receiver. It's like, yeah, well, that's because it's a reason. He's a playmaker. He can get stuff done, and sure enough, is rewarded for it. 100%.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna bring up the new award, the one for the big guys up front.
Yes,
the Protector of the Year.
Yes, this is my favorite. I'm so glad for this.
I got some opinions.
You got opinions? Okay, Joe Tooney.
Oh wait, the site I have doesn't have the candidates; just has the winner.
1 second. I know there were 2 Broncos up for contention. Penei Sewell was up.
Yeah, what a snub.
That is my opinion on that, guys. So the Lions, right? Our beloved Detroit Lions, eliminated from the playoffs on Christmas Day. That was a great Christmas gift. Jokes aside, though, despite the offensive line just being just crappy all year and all season, last season or this season or whatever you want to call it, we're almost in past tense. Point being, though, rotating guys and stuff, rotating centers. Penei Sewell was the anchor constantly. He was the only thing constant. And I don't know stats off the top of my head. I'm not going to say something on air that's false, knowingly. But I think Penei Sewell only allowed like 1 sack this year, which, I mean, you would prefer to allow 0 sacks. Mm-hmm. And Joe Tooney didn't allow any sacks. But again, you look at the previous years and stuff, but you can't look at previous years for 1 year. But Penei Sewell was the anchor for the Detroit Lions offensive line, is all I'm saying, this year. And the way he held it down, despite the unfortunate ending to the season, I think he's still probably deserving of that, in my opinion. What about you guys?
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, go for it.
Okay. So, to that same point, Broncos left tackle Garrett Bowles, he did not allow a single sack all year. At least that's what I last saw from when I checked my statistics before the show. But here's why I love Joe Thuney as the pick for the first ever Protector of the Year award. He has been a consistent anchor across every single team he's played for. He started with the Patriots. He went to the Chiefs. He's now with the Bears. And every single season, he's performing at such a high level that he just has to be rewarded for it at some point. He is getting a little bit up there in age, and he doesn't have many chances left to win that. And so, to your point, I do see Penei Sewell probably winning the award here, like, next year, a few years down the line at some point. He has time. Joe Thuney doesn't necessarily have the time, but he had such a great year this year. He's been an anchor for teams for so long. I think it's a perfect pick, honestly. I would have loved to see someone from my team win it. We had both Garrett Bowles and Quinn Miners up for the award, but I think it was a very good selection by the committee. I don't know if it's like a committee.
Actually, this article right here, it is kind of a committee. It's here. This is the quote. The award is chosen by a group of former All-Pro centers, guards, and tackles, bringing championship experience position specific. So, Lee Charles Bentley, Jason Kelsey, Sean O'Hara, Orlando Pace, Will Shields, and Andrew Whitworth. So Whitworth and Kelsey alone, those guys are studs. Mm-hmm. And yeah, having two guys from the Broncos be candidates is a testament how good the Broncos O-line was this year, admittedly. But, I mean, okay, let's look at the other candidates here. Thuney, we had a great report on him. I remember shortly after Ben Johnson was hired with the Bears, and I saw the report that they either traded or signed for Thuney from Kansas City. I'm like, oh, God. Yeah, like, that was my actual reaction from there. Because, like, I knew how good this guy was going to be. And then they signed Jonah Jackson from the Rams, who originally was, or not originally, but previously was with the Lions. Mm-hmm. So every time we played him, I'm like, oh, Jonah Jackson. I remember seeing him in blue and silver. That's great.
Look, I will say he was a very good offensive lineman this year, you know. But you look at one of the defining moments of the playoffs, which was 23 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Chicago down by 7 at the 14. It's 4th and 4. And you look who allows the pressure from Jared Verse.
Okay. Are we cherry picking here a little bit, Trevor?
A little bit, yes. But that's because I'm a very upset Lions fan. But he allowed the pressure.
You got to put your butt hurt aside a little bit.
I think too. Caleb Williams is an elite quarterback.
Yes.
You know, I was pooping on the Bears earlier. I can muster up the courage and suck up my pride to say the Bears are an elite NFL team. It hurts me to say it. Ben Johnson is going to be an elite NFL coach. I take full credit for me being wrong. However, that being said, with Caleb Williams' eliteness in the QB area, he can scramble and he can run the ball. And I think with his offensive line breaking down constantly, I wouldn't say Joe Thuney was carried by Caleb Williams, but I think a lot of the box score stats for him play in part to Caleb Williams' ability to scramble.
I can see that. See that. Okay.
I can see that too. And it's kind of the same argument for Denver, because Bo Nix has, I think was he sacked less than 20 times?
I don't know. You're the one who was supposed to know.
I'm the Broncos fan.
But I feel like I remember like they're like the least sacked team.
Yeah, least sacked.
When I was doing research for something I was talking about Connor McGovern a while ago, how the Lions should pick him up, which I still stand by that opinion. We should pick up Connor McGovern. That's a whole different conversation. But like Denver's one of the better ones.
Absolutely. And it's like a 47 sack differential.
Plus
47, something like that.
It's nutty.
It's nuts. But the point is, Bo Nix knows how to evade the pressure. The offensive line just gives him enough time to evade that pressure. And Caleb Williams he might not be as athletically gifted in the running game necessarily. I haven't really watched a whole lot of Caleb Williams. I did watch some of those big games, especially like, those Packers, those playoff games. But from what I saw, he likes to just kind of hang back there and make the play with his arm. And ultimately, while the Bears do still need a little bit more help up front, they are a rebuilding franchise. They need to kind of reshuffle some of those guys up front. But from what I saw from Joe Tooney or whatever, he has the time. He's being given the time. He might just be hanging on to the ball a little bit too long.
That's what I was thinking too. I feel like Caleb, his biggest issue right now is holding on to the ball and trying to force a play out of it. Which, like, as he develops more, and I think Ben Johnson is going to be the one to, for lack of better terms, beat it out of him a little bit. Yeah, like, I think that's Caleb Williams' biggest issue. But, yeah, watching him in the postseason game and in the game against the Lions, I'd be like, we got to deal with this guy for at least, like, 10 more years now. We just got rid of Rodgers. Jordan Love pans out to be meh. Caleb Williams, maybe the jury's still out for how he's going to develop, but for the time being, oh, boy.
The Iceman.
Yeah, whatever. I'm sorry. I mean, about Trevor.
At least J.J. McCarthy is in your division.
I'm fine with that.
9.
Oh, man. Seeing all the stuff about how terrible the Vikings have fumbled the bag with Sam Darnold. I'm going to go on a little bit of tangent here. I know we're talking about NFL awards, but I just have to get this out right. So you're telling me that you wasted, was he a first-round pick?
Yes, he was the 10th.
He was the
overall
10th.
pick.
So you pick up a guy who barely threw the ball much. Granted, he won the Natty and only lost one game in his collegiate career. Mm-hmm. You pick up a guy who barely touches the ball, and he's hurt. First off, he's hurt his first year. You let Kirk Cousins walk, which más o menos, yeah, he didn't get back up to full health in Atlanta, but somehow still is probably going to be the starter next year.
Yeah,
didn't expect that. So then you pick up Sam Darnold, expecting him to be Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold becomes, Sam Darnold.
Uh-huh.
Now gets to 14 wins, gets to the postseason, and then you're like, I'm not quite sold on him. Like, are we for real? Are we for real? So then hey, as a Lions fan, thank goodness. But then you ship him off, and then gets 14 wins again, and now he's in the Super Bowl, and you're here holding. I don't even know how to explain this. It's insane. You're basically now you're in a position where you have to look in the draft again now. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm like, when they said that Sam Darnold was going to walk, I'm like, oh, is it because of cost? Like, maybe it was because of cost. I don't know. Do I look like a general manager? Not really. Maybe it's because of cost that they let him walk. Whatever. But like, for that kind of production, are we for real? Mm. It's insane to me.
Yeah, I think the Vikings fired their general manager. I'm like,
they did.
90.
Yep.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I'm like,
yep. That's exactly why.
It was right after that press conference where he was talking about. He basically admitted that he fumbled the bag with Darnold.
I did not pick that up.
No,
you're
he
gone.
Was sitting there and he's like, he's talking and he just says something along the lines of, hindsight is 20/20. You have to kind of think about these things. And when you look back to the decisions you made, sometimes you wish you did things a little bit differently.
Yeah. That is a man who he's not scared for his job anymore because he knows it's not his. I bet you he barely got out of the chair before they handed him his box of things, man. Yep. Oh my God.
That's actually crazy.
Okay. So, get back. Oh, sorry, Trevor. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna do the transition here.
Yeah,
we're talking about offense. Let's switch over to the new sack king in a regular season. Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett. I think it was unanimous, and I mean, I don't even know. If
there was 2 votes for Will Anderson.
Oh, there was.
That's ridiculous.
That's so stupid.
I'm sorry. I don't know why.
Will Anderson's a good defensive player, but this year was Myles Garrett's year.
You break the sack record. You are the depoy. Like that's hands down. There's hardly any discussion on there. Myles Garrett. I mean, okay, I know most people like see him as the guy that like hit Mason Rudolph, like whatever. But like, if you really look into Myles Garrett, he's actually like a super cool dude. I find out, I've heard people call him like a Renaissance man. He's into like anime. I'm sure he's into a bunch of other stuff. I'm kind of going off the dome.
He's a photographer.
He's a photographer. Do
you
expect a massive defensive end who is that grown men are terrified to be a photographer? Like, exactly. This guy's awesome.
Yeah.
The more I think about him,
I mess with Myles Garrett.
Yeah, and that's not new information.
And then comeback player of the year, Christian McCaffrey.
Okay. I want to hear what you guys want to think.
Okay, here's my thing, right? I'm a resident Lions fan.
As always, yeah.
As always.
We've established that 3 times by now on this show.
I know, and we got to keep telling it. So obviously, Aiden Hutchinson was a finalist for that, but I think offensively, he was the comeback player of the year. Overall, I think Aiden Hutchinson had a career year this year, coming off of snapping his leg in half. So I think there's an argument for that, but I think overall, like at first when I heard CMC was comeback player of the year last night, I was a little unhappy. But the more I've thought about it through today, I'm like, okay. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson had a career year coming off a snap leg. It was like 13 or 14 sacks, but
14 and a half.
14 and a half
So, yeah,
sacks.
that's pretty
So
good number.
it's a very good year for Aiden Hutchinson, but CMC just had the better year coming off of injury bug all year last year.
Yeah, I was gonna say I completely agree with the pick myself. Christian McCaffrey was the 49ers offense this season.
Yes, I 100% agree.
1,200 rushing yards, almost 1,000 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns rushing, 7 touchdowns receiving, only fumbled twice. And this is, I think, over 400 touches for him on the season. He was a workhorse this season. And after coming off of a, season-ending injury, to see this level of production, especially for a guy who's nearing 30, he'll be 30 in June, it's really incredible to see, a running back with this much motivation to get the job done. And I see the argument for Hutchinson. I feel like I would have completely understood if they made him the comeback player of the year. But for him to come back from his injury and have this level of production, McCaffrey is the obvious pick for me.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, I got nothing to add on that one. I think that's a good place to stop right there for the awards, because I got to keep an eye on the clock, because we have a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
We could hit on the Super Bowl right here. I feel like just a good idea of our thoughts and feelings and expectations for that one.
Okay. Obvious pick is Seattle. I think I was discussing this up in the CM Life office today. I think if New England wins, it's going to be a messy game for Seattle. I think that's what it's going to take for New England to win. Patriots back in the Super Bowl. We finally got Kansas City out of the Super Bowl, so we're throwing in the Patriots. It's like, bro. So like that's unfortunate. But I mean, Seattle's defense playing lights out. Obviously, that 100-ish yard kickoff return touchdown Seattle had against.
That was Rashid Shaheed on the opening kickoff for the Rams. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, special teams are amazing, too. Special teams are highly underrated in the NFL, in my opinion. And, I mean, you're playing complementary football on all sides of the ball, all around. You're going to make the Super Bowl, and you're probably going to win the bowl.
Oh, yeah.
No, okay. We just got to look at each other right there. I 100% agree with you on that one. I mean, like I said, it's a messy game. Both defenses are really good, so I think that points are going to be few and far between on this one. So it's going to be whoever can finish drives better, right? And both quarterbacks have a really good resume for that, I feel like. But I think what you mentioned with special teams being the deciding factor, with key players on either sides of the ball, is going to be the deciding factor. It's got to fall the Seahawks way. And you also got to consider trying to get the lick back from 11 years ago, too. Now, granted, no, I don't think there's anybody on the coaching staff or on the roster. I mean, that'd be crazy if there was. That's from that game. But the fan base knows. The ownership knows. This is one that they've been brewing on.
Yeah, rematch. And I think NBC has the call. Didn't NBC call the Malcolm Butler interception game too?
Was it?
Yes, actually, because I remember the score bug being NBC.
Yeah.
Wait, hold up.
So I mean, that's kind of like a funny coincidence there. They repeat Super Bowls.
They don't have Al Michaels anymore saying and intercepted at the goal. No, they don't have that anymore. That's gone. They can exercise those demons now, and this is where my take on it all comes in. I'll just preface this. I think it's not going to be close. Seattle's going to run away with it.
Really?
Ooh.
But I already have a score prediction. It's going to be 34-17. The Patriots score a garbage time touchdown with under a minute left, just so that the fans can say, "Oh, it's a little bit closer."
Yeah, that's fair.
But I mostly was thinking about it the other day, and I hate the narrative that the Patriots have an easy schedule. Sometimes you're dealt a hand of cards, and you have to play with what you've got. And the Patriots, every challenge they face, they overcome. They faced 3 of the top 5 defenses in the NFL in the playoffs so far. They won each of those games to make it to the Super Bowl. That being said, there are some numbers that you got to look at. Yes, did they win? Yeah. But did they score more than 10 points? Did they throw for more than 86 yards? Did they... They were given a backup quarterback in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
They were given C.J. Stroud, who threw four interceptions?
It was
four interceptions, 5 total turnovers, I believe.
Yeah, disgusting. And then they got playoff Justin Herbert.
So I would have to second that. And I mean, obviously, I mean, you're in the playoffs. You're the AFC champions, yeah. But you go through the playoffs and you look at the games that happen, and like what you were saying, the cards sometimes just turn in your favor. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I mean, 10-7 in the AFC Championship, 28-16 in the divisional against Houston, and wild card Chargers Patriots 16-3. So I mean, it's all solid performances ish. It's just 5 total turnovers by Houston, and then what's that? Chargers and playoff Justin Herbert with no O-line at all, basically. Mm-hmm. I mean. Again, the cards were definitely in their favor, so I'm not taking anything away from the Patriots. I still think that the regular season schedule was overall really easy, but they did lose the Raiders week 1, so that's kind of like a funny notion on the season.
It's funny that it was that Raiders game that nobody thought about in week 1 that gave us home field advantage in the playoffs because we had a better record against common opponents. We had the same overall record. We had the same divisional record, but because we beat the Raiders twice and they lost to the Raiders, we got the home field advantage.
Got
in the
you.
playoffs. And I don't know. It's just this is nothing against the Patriots. I think they are going to be a very competitive team for a long time. But you're running into a very hot Seahawks team that has steamrolled other opponents in this playoff cycle, and it's just I think it's going to be messy. And if you just look at the numbers of the Patriots, yes, they're winning games. No, they're not winning them very pretty. Seahawks know how to take over a game from the first snap, and I think it's just going to be. I would argue it could be over by halftime. That's going to be my hot take.
See, here's the thing. I'm a selfish Super Bowl watcher. I don't want it to be a blowout because that's so boring. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like all the hype, all the prep for this to be the biggest sporting event of the year, and it's done in an hour and a half. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm hoping it's a closer game. Maybe that's why I think it's a closer game, and I try to justify that and all that. But I might be buying a little stock on your side now.
I think Seattle also has a way stronger schedule. I mean, they play in the NFC West. I mean. San Francisco.
And NFC. And then they had to go back against both those teams again in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
I mean, and you look, they lost to San Francisco week 1, 17-3. They lost to Tampa Bay 38-35 when Tampa Bay was still relevant. They lost to Los Angeles week 11. But then you look at everything else, and it's all wins. You're 2-1 against San Francisco this year. You're 2-1 against LA this year. Both are really, really good teams. And you just start going through all the wins and stuff. You beat Pittsburgh, playoff team. You beat Houston, playoff team. You beat Jacksonville, playoff team, first round exit. You beat Carolina, playoff team, granted 8-9, granted only one.
They almost beat the Rams. I'm just saying.
Yeah, a point.
Well, and then when they played them again in the wild card round, they looked pretty legit for most of it.
Yeah. Point being is that I think Seahawks just have the better resume overall, and I think it's a no-brainer to pick Seattle for the Super Bowl.
I want you to think about this real quick.
I'm thinking.
I'll start it by saying that the Seahawks did almost lose to 40-something-year-old Phillip Rivers
that was
a few weeks before the playoffs.
Okay, well, here's the thing. He had like a 40-minute like Linsanity run.
Oh yeah.
So they give him that much, and then yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that's the only way I could see this potentially getting closer because that's an AFC opponent, and they're a team that won was it 8 games this season? The Colts.
Yeah,
So-
they were 8-2, and then they just collapsed.
Yeah, I know.
So unless
I was cheering for the Colts so hard too.
Me
Oh, yeah.
too.
unless the AFC is stronger against those NFC opponents than we might initially suspect, I don't believe so. But like that's the only way I can see this getting close. And so the clock is ticking down. 1 minute left. You're at the 2-yard line. Seahawks have the ball. And Sam Darnold has the option to either hand it off to Kenneth Walker or throw a slant to JSN up the middle. What are you doing?
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Dude, I swear to God. Is this what was that Madden? What Madden was it that you get like the intro to like choose which one? Like it's like that.
I can't remember.
I think that was
but I know what you're talking
17
about.
because I think it was Goff's rookie year and you're Goff in that one. Whatever. Dude, if history somehow repeats itself,
I'm gonna go crazy.
I was gonna say I was gonna eat a whole roll of toilet paper because our next subject
Oh boy.
is gonna be was the big game a week ago exactly, the toilet paper toss,
TP.
January 31st not here but in town, McGurk Arena. You just had to be there.
You had to
You
be
had
had
to
to
be
be
there.
there, man, dude.
We all of us are there. First off, I kind of want to like get a little insight on each of our experiences. So when you guys what were you guys up to that
All right.
day?
So that day, this was, let's see. I'll preface this by saying, I'm sitting in the office of Central Michigan Life.
The local student-run newspaper.
Yep.
And
And
if you're not aware.
Yep. I'm sitting there. I'm working on a story, and my editor comes up to me and asks,
Sydney
Neal. Shout out Sydney.
Neal.
Shout out Sydney.
Sydney's the hardest worker in the entire office there.
Oh yeah. But I'm sitting there. She comes up to me and says, "Hey, one of our reporters is out with COVID, and we need somebody to write the feature story. Are you willing or are you available tomorrow night to go to the toilet paper toss and write a feature story?" And I'm just floored at like I'm a freshman, bro. Why are you asking me to do this monumental task? But it's next man up mentality. You just gotta get in there, fill in the gap, and it might be one of, if not my best experience up here at Central Michigan so far. The atmosphere was electric, and when you work for Central Michigan Life, you can't cheer because it's technically an independent organization. But I was internally fighting myself because I wanted to go nuts that second half. 42 points dropped, and it was one of the greatest games I've watched in person. And no, it was electric, and it's something I'm never gonna forget. I'm so thankful to have had the opportunity to go cover it. But
Yeah, because when I saw you down there at the CM Life table, I'm like, oh shit, like you got the nod for it because you're not the beat for basketball. You're not.
Mm-mm.
No.
no,
That's why I was surprised by it because usually it's Noah, who I believe was the one that was sick.
Yes.
Barr was there. David, which all those guys are great writers. Hopefully we can get one of them on the show at some point. I thought about asking David on the way out from the meeting earlier today, but in any case, usually those guys, they're upperclassmen. They usually get it. So for you to get that, that's huge, man. I'm proud of you for that.
thank you. Brother.
Yeah, 100%. That's freaking awesome. Yes. I would definitely second that notion. Like CM Life, shout out CM Life, shout out to everybody in CM Life, bro. They're a bunch of amazing people, and the opportunities we have as freshmen is just unbelievable. My day was just kind of like waiting for it, honestly. I mean, that was like the only thing I had planned that day, and so got there. I was on video, and I took pictures too because that's who I am. And then being up top in the VIP section for the toilet paper toss and just like the atmosphere there, I mean, that's what all we're gonna be talking about. I feel like the atmosphere was elite, and it's probably gonna be one of the only times this year we're gonna see McGurk Arena filled up to the brim, other than maybe the Western games for women's and men's.
We might get lucky with the Western game. I don't know much about the women's game. I hope we fill it for the women's game because that's gonna be better than the men's game, I think. We'll see when that comes around, but yeah. I mean, just being there, it was an electric atmosphere, and one of my favorite things is after the games and stuff, the players go up and talk to everybody in the That's what I've
stands.
been so amazed with because we've grown up around like Michigan State or Michigan and like those guys, like the higher tier D1 players, they're never going to do that. So like Mount Pleasant, a really interesting environment that like the community is so tight that like the players can do that and they're mid-major and all that. But yeah, it's so cool, and especially after something big like that.
How was your day? I know you were up top.
Oh yeah, you were.
Yeah, so the reason why I don't do much of CM Life, which I really want to, but I can only be in so many places, that I'm pursuing broadcasting, and I don't know how much I can really say about this, but at the same time I haven't really been told not to. I guess I don't see the point in like hiding anything, but yeah, if you follow my personal page, Brandt.beach, little plug right there. CMU.Trevor 24/7. What was it again?
You could do Chamilton Sports
Chamilton
or
Sport.
Chamilton 247. I don't
Chamilton
know.
Sports. We'll do the sports one. Anyway. Yeah, so I'm doing broadcasting, try to be on air. That's why I started the show. But the way to work up for that, I worked camera for that, which, hey, working camera for the TP toss, that's like the big event here, athletic side. So getting that as a freshman, super grateful for that. I was up on what's called the 2 camera, so that's like the high angle, and I can like zoom in. The 1 camera is the game camera, so that's not me. But like any replay you see where it's a high angle, that's me. So that was super fun. We got there an hour early. We prepped for the pre-game festivities or whatever you want to call it, of like the actual TP toss, because that was broadcasted on air. So if you have ESPN Plus, I kind of want to look back at it after this. You can actually see the toilet paper toss. We broadcasted it. And it was also fun looking around for fan cam, because there's so much of the student body there that there's a lot of people I recognize. So I was basically going around and like playing Where's Waldo with people. Like, I know I clipped you both. I clipped a couple people of CM Life. I clipped a couple of my other friends. But no, it was super cool. And then like standing there since 4 o'clock up until tip off at 7, seeing the place slowly fill up. And then by halftime, when we were down 12, I believe it was 12, it kind of sucked because the place deflated. A lot of people left, and it was kind of buns. We're like, oh, it's another Central Michigan game. Like, I want to support these guys so badly, but like, the record is what the record is, and BG by the numbers was the better team. We're like, dang it, man.
What's crazy is at halftime, fun fact, BGSU had a 95 winning percent. Like, they had 95% chance to win at halftime. And then CMU came back and won the thing. Yeah,
and I think that's probably the best thing that could have happened there for the toilet paper toss instead of like a blowout win. Because if I remember correctly, the last chance you could tell me on this one because you were there. The Western game last year was a blowout.
Yeah,
right?
No, it was like back and forth for the first 5 minutes ish.
Okay,
and then we were up, and they didn't have a chance against us.
So that's cool in its own right, but I think coming like down against coming from behind in a better opponent in that environment was, and like the crowd pop for those last couple minutes, that was so cool. And like I had to stay focused on what I was doing, but I was bouncing in it, and it was so cool.
No, I was sitting almost, it was courtside, and just surrounding me, just a wall of noise, and I could barely hear anything that was going on the court because it was just so loud in there. And that's just something I will never forget.
Yeah, like, and my producer and the director are like in my earpiece trying to tell us what to do. Like, we were planning for a crowd storm. Like, we're already coming up with a contingency. It's like, all right, if we storm the court, like guys, the 2 cameras that are actually 3 cameras that are courtside, good luck. Protect the camera more than yourself. But
I really thought that there was going to be a court storm. I know it's a fine in the MAC, but
right?
Like I really thought that there was going to be a court storm, but I think security kind of handled that down. But like, I was ready too because I was on video. I was ready to try and get something out of it. But
I can't remember who I heard it from. I think it might have been somebody I work with in broadcasting that I heard like whatever, because we had wrestling the day after that. I think they said like some faculty member was literally threatening students, like, if you storm the court, we'll find out who you are and we will all I don't know what it is, suspend you from classes.
Wow.
And stuff like that. I can't remember. I don't know if that's legit or not, but it's kind of funny. Like they literally put fear into the student section. But yeah, like for the amount of people who stayed after we were down by 12 was because a couple people I knew did left, and they're like, "What? We came back?" I'm like, "Yeah, because you got to stick with it, because this is Maction, man.
This is
Maction."
No, I notice at the basketball games, the football games, a lot of people like to leave at halftime. They've got other things that either they got to go do or other things that they want to go do, and that is disappointing, in my opinion, because if you're going to a sports game of any kind, you want to stick in it or stick there for the entire thing.
Yeah.
Stay till the clock hits all zeros. And yes, we're down 12 at halftime, but everybody stayed for this one. They knew how big of a tradition it was. They knew how big of an event it was for the CMU community, and they stuck with it, and we came back. We had an amazing game. We started hitting our shots, and the noise when I think it was Tamario.
It was Tamario that got that last rebound. Yeah,
and then Fat blocked and came back with like the fast break layup. That was probably the loudest crowd pop I
took out my phone and started recording. I know I'm not really supposed to do that, but I don't think anybody really cared.
I don't think anybody cares.
I mean, that was really freaking cool
to
hear, have that audio, have the footage of it, and just have that memory as a freshman here at CMU. But while we're on the topic of CMU men's basketball, there is a elephant in the room, and it happened against the UMass Minutemen. Logan McIntyre, 40 points, 14 of 19 on field goals. Whoa.
Yeah, so Chance, you and I, we were at an event and we were walking by and the game was on and you're watching the ESPN thing and you're like, hey, Logan McIntyre's got like 24 points at halftime. I'm like, really? How is he? He's like, with like, I don't even remember, maybe like 7 threes at the time. I can't remember what it was. So I if I want to look into the box score, sure. It was some ridiculous number and I'm like, whoa, because like I knew McIntyre was a 3-point shooter. Like he has kind of been the rest of the season, and like there's a part like maybe around early January, like just coming like at the tail end of the winter break, he kind of picked up a bit, and then since then slid back, and then this game, and I guess a little bit of the toilet paper toss if I remember correctly. Like my goodness, so 12 3-pointers. Let me pull my notes instead here to what I got. So 12 3-pointers. Is a school record, which previously it was 10, held by Marcus Keene versus Miami in 2017, and Tommy Johnson versus Wright State in 1987, which I actually found Marcus Keene on Twitter. I don't remember if he said anything, but like it was kind of a weird coincidence. I think that would have been like the day of where I found his Twitter. I can't exactly remember, but in any case, like, so yeah, McIntyre's box score, 40 points, 14 for 19 field goals, 12 for 16 at 3, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, but those don't matter because Logan Money McIntyre, dude. Wow.
Dude, we were at the event, right, and I'm sitting next to you, and I'm like, oh yeah, he hit a 3. Oh yeah, he hit a 3. And I'm like, I'm concerned that I'm pestering you, but eventually I just like fully commit because I'm like, holy cow. I can see that this is going to be a performance we are going to talk about for a long time. And 12 threes is, I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. And it's going to be forgotten because we lost that game. We lost by 6. Because one of UMass's guys scored 37. And
that's the headline for everybody's articles. I mean, it's the first thing I saw when I went on ESPN to get these stats. That's the first thing I saw. And look, right, like I'm in pre-calculus right now, so like obviously I still got some more math to go, but like I'm pretty sure 40 is greater than 37.
Well, okay, Marcus Banks was the one who had 37. He had 10 3-pointers of his own. So those guys are going back and forth, and then behind him, I'm going to butcher this last name, Leonardo Bettiol, Bettiol, sure. He had 22 points, and the team, or UMass had 38 points off of 21 turnovers. That was the biggest thing that Coach Bronkema pointed out in the post-game interview. Yeah, that's going to do it. Because, okay, McIntyre puts up 40 points. Like, my goodness. Fat and Tamario both put up 12. That's fine. They could each do a little bit better, but considering they're probably feeding Logan a lot of the time, that gets it. But other than that, nobody else got above 10 points. 21 team turnovers. They had 2 guys that combined for 30 or 50 plus points. Like, it's a rough situation.
It's rough. And you got to think about yes, Logan McIntyre was popping off all night, but at the same time, you got to be able to support a performance like that. You can't just be giving the ball away every few seconds. You have to step up and support someone who's having one of the best games we've ever seen here at CMU. And
I would say
the greatest performance. Honestly, I would agree with that. And so, but for it to just not end up happening that way, you're giving the ball back to the Minutemen. You're struggling to hit your shots. Only McIntyre is finding those, lanes. He's getting open and shooting a huge three. I don't know. It's just it rubs me the wrong way, and I feel like knowing Coach Bronkema, he's gonna be upset about this.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like, I'm not saying I speak for McIntyre on this at all.
Right.
I'm not trying to say like, oh, he should feel this way or he does feel this way. Like McIntyre, I'm sure he's a great guy, but like if I were him in that or if I were in that situation, I should say more accurately, dude, I would be so just absolutely pissed.
Mm-hmm.
I would. I'd be like, dude, are we literally the best performance a Division I program has ever seen, and you end up losing. I'm like, well, it's a team sport, whatever. But if you want to, what?
Oh, it happens. Bad nights happen. Bad performances happen. I agree that you do need a good supporting cast if one of your players is having the best night of a program's history. I do agree with that. But I also just want to put out there, bad nights happen.
Yeah.
And it was just a bad night. That's not anything against any of the other players on the team. It's just bad nights happen. And you just got to look at it as, despite a bad night, they still managed to keep it within 6, 95 to 89. With the only other person, or tied for second most points during the game, is Tamario Adley and Fat Brooks with 12 each. So I think with that, you just got to say bad nights happen, and I don't think necessarily that, 12 points is pretty good.
Yeah.
And look, all right, I'm 5'5". I can't suit up and I can't go get 12 points. I don't even know if I'll be able to make a basket in a D1 program, guys. So
whatever.
I give credit where credit's due.
Fine. Sure. If you want to look at the box score a little bit more, we mentioned the 38 points off turnovers. That alone negates the 40 points by McIntyre, and I think that was right to point that out by Bronkema to say that's your biggest issue there. And it feels, I think I'm kind of mixing up with a little bit of the women's team here, but I feel like that's kind of been a lingering issue with this team. It's just, it feels like as the season's gone on, the men's team has just crept slowly closer to being just there sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like with this game specifically, pull up the roster to try to support this. They handily deal with Eastern. The Western game, I'd even imagine. That was only an 8-point loss, and they felt pretty close for the majority of that one.
Yeah.
Ball State, that's a 1-point loss. Miami, skip that one. Kent State, that's a 2-point win. We take those. And from there, just for most of last month and coming into this month, it's been right there.
Yeah. No, the number of times that we are leading at halftime, and then we just can't finish out the rest of the game. I don't even know how many times it's happened, but it's part of the reason why
you got to play a full 40 minutes. Yeah,
exactly. And this is nothing against these guys. Watching them at the toilet paper toss game, it's clear that they have fight. They care about each other. They are in it for the long haul with each other. But at the same time, there are just these questions about, can you finish the game? Can you hit the shot? Can you keep the ball in your possession? And, you can point to, you dropped 100 against Eastern. You came back against Bowling Green. And you had, a legendary performance by McIntyre against UMass. How can you support this new groove that you're starting to find and translate that into wins?
Exactly. So we got time for this last one here, about, I think, 6 minutes on it. The women's team I wanted to highlight a little bit as well. They've been seeing a lot more success than the men's team, I feel like. Currently 4th in the MAC. I've actually been studying up on them the past couple of days because I will be on air for the radio broadcast with the wonderful Mr. Jesse Goldberg Strassler tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, I believe the game is. We're going to be on air on the other channel across the way, I got to look at the sticker in the back. 91.5. I keep wanting to say 95.1. I have stickers on the back of my laptop. I had to check it. 91.5 The Mountain. We're going to be on that one. But the women's team, they've been doing great. Okay. So let me set the stage for you. They're on a 2-game road win streak against NIU, 75-70, and then Buffalo, 90-59, which Buffalo actually had their equivalent of the toilet paper toss. I want to say. I didn't look too much into it, but by the numbers it seemed right. It was Educators Night that day, and there were 5,000 plus grade school and middle school kids there. And
5,000
for a 2-win team. Yeah.
Wow.
For Buffalo, who's a 2-win team, the women's team is. And from what I could tell from the ESPN broadcast, because I was able to listen in that day, like, it was loud, even while they were down like 20 points most of the game. And the broadcasters, I didn't catch their names, but they had a good point that, like, this is a good way to, like, show these kids that, like, hey, you know, like, basketball's fun, come out and support the women's team. But in any case, clown them. Don't care. Right now sit at 14-7, which is the best 21-game start since the 2019-2020 season, where they were 17-4, and is tied for the most wins in a season under Coach Haney. So Coach Haney's third year, she's been able to really revitalize this program. I love Coach Haney every time I get a chance to talk to her. Oh, yeah. Also with that Buffalo game, there's 4 players in double digits. Maddie Morrison, Lila Turnbull, who's a freshman who's been starting this past half of the season. Ayana Sarai-Darrington, who I like to consider like the Swiss Army knife of this team. And Jada Mosley finally getting her shot out there. She's kind of been like a 3-point specialist for the longest time. She's starting to get a lot more effective. If I remember correctly, she had either 14 or 17 points that game, so very good. Also the most team assists since 2021 with 24 that game. 5th game they had with 50-plus rebounds and only having 8 players that day. They only suited 8 players, and they also went to go visit Niagara Falls after the game, which was super sick. You can find that on their socials for that, so that was super cool.
And I will bring a notion that 3 of the losses come from top 25 opponents.
Yeah, no, they've played 3 ranked teams this season.
Oh yeah, yep, that's a good point.
And they were competitive in each and every one of them. Plus, they also beat Purdue, a Big Ten team. And like, this team has fight.
Yeah, this team has fight. I totally expect them to see them in Cleveland for the MAC tournament later in March.
Oh, they're gonna.
I fully expect to see them there, and I know they can make a run. I've seen them play, and it's complimentary. You know, it's complimentary to an extent. And I mean, you take away those 3 top 25 losses out of conference, the top 25 out of conference losses, you are looking at a 14-4 record. You know, and I mean, obviously ranked teams. If down the road you play in the tournament, March Madness, you're gonna have to face them. But I still think, I mean, looking at these games, I think they played competitively, as competitive as they could, based on who they're playing, and I like this team. I really like this team a lot.
Because your conference losses are Ball State, which, fair enough, Ball State was a good team on the floor there at that game. Massachusetts by 2 points. Ohio in overtime, where you were leading most of that game. I was also on that game for radio. And then those are the conference losses. And you had the very first game, which also was a MAC Sunbelt Challenge game against Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern, I think, is a really good team. And then also this game coming up tomorrow is the second installment on the season of the MAC Sunbelt Conference Challenge. I actually got a clip of the post-game interview with Marshall's coach. What is, if I remember her name, Julie Folks. Also very similar to Kate Haney. She's basically said that, like, if we could sign off on this at the beginning of we sign it, we just play it all at the beginning of the season and be done with it. So, like, Marshall's coach is kind of in the understanding that, like, this is a little silly to have an out-of-conference game in the middle of the schedule. But in any case, I think the Marshall game is going to be a good test of strength, because from what I've gathered from Marshall, they seem pretty similar skill-wise. They played a couple extra games. I think they're at 25 games, and we're going to be going into game 22 here, so that's marginal at best. But I mean, I got the boards for Marshall already pulled up. I swear I come into these shows prepared. Tamaya Lewis Odyssey, sorry, the little stutter there. She's kind of like the Maddie Morrison of the group. I feel like she's a transfer senior. Other big names: Nakia Chesterfield with Marshall, Meredith Mayer. Let's see, Peyton Ilderton. I believe it's Ilderton and Mayer that are also like local to West Virginia. So that was kind of a cool story. Like, they're very, very comparable matchups. So I think despite it being an out-of-conference game tomorrow, it's going to be interesting. And National Girls and Women's and Sports Day as well.
Yep, no, and I was taking a look at the schedule. They also played Kentucky. We played Kentucky. They also got punked by Kentucky. But they beat Buffalo. we have a few other common opponents.
Kent State is the third one, which
Yes.
Marshall beat 70-62.
Mm-hmm. And so there's common opponents that we played very similarly against. Marshall is 19-6 on the season, 7-4 on the road, and currently ESPN is predicting CMU to win this game. I think it's going to be a good one. It's the Maction versus the Fun Belt, and
The Fun Belt?
the Fun Belt.
I haven't heard that one.
I heard it somewhere, and I was just
I'll
like, you
look
know
into
what?
that.
Well, I'll roll with it.
Yeah.
Let it ride, and let it ride. But no, it's it'll be a good one for sure. And these are two mid-major teams that they're looking for a spot to compete, to prove themselves, and against each other, they're gonna come out all ready to go, and I know we'll be fired up, and
They'll be fired up.
they'll be. They're the Thundering Herd. They're
The Herd.
the Herd, and so it'll be a good one for sure.
100%.
Great input, Trevor.
Thank you.
Great input.
Well, anyway, that's going to do it for us. Really hope you can get the chance to come out to that game tomorrow. I'll be over at the... Man, I'm having a brain fart right now. Over at the media table on the west side. Jeez, man, I'm tired. I'm trying to get out of here, too. But yeah, hope you come out to that game. Thank you so much. This has been Just Talkin'
Talkin'
Ball.
Ball.
Once again, my name is Brandt Beach, joined here by Chance Hamilton and Trevor Sparks. Please, please, please show us your support on YouTube. You can get the full video and audio of this episode on there. I'll be cutting up highlights this weekend, so hopefully you should be getting them out tomorrow afternoon. There have been a lot of people on the socials giving us crap, like, oh, yada, 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 when, I get the show out, 2 days ahead of time and, new information comes up. Whatever. But, yeah, please show some support on the socials. That's just_talkin without the G_ball. Thank you so much. This has been Brandt Beach, the sports host on WHMW 101.1 The Beat. Thank you so much. And as always, fire up chips.